So we're here to talk about making life and business simpler. And don't we all need that in our work and our lives? Linda, welcome. Good to have you with us as well. Oh, and there she goes. Well, hopefully she'll come back and join us. I'll try to keep an eye out on the participants coming in. All right. So I wanted to start this out. This is with a statistic, actually, really exciting stuff here. But the statistic we've heard, all of us, I'm sure, have heard before. It's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And that proven statistic shows that 50% of businesses will survive their 5th year, and only 30% will survive their 10th. So for those of us, I know we have some people both here in the group on Zoom and on live who have made it past that 10-year mark. So kudos to you. It's a really big deal. So there are all kinds of reasons for that, right? We know there's just many different, picking the right products and services, identifying the right market, doing the right activities. But also, one major reason why this happens to some people, why they become one of these sad statistics, is because as businesses grow, they don't know how to control the overwhelm, the chaos that comes as organizations grow, right? So I'm sure you each, everyone here on Facebook, you've seen as your business grows, so do the challenges. So does the complexity of the work that you're doing. And you reach a point where without well-structured processes or systems in place, no organization, even small micro businesses like many of us here have, that's a business that has 10 or fewer employees, can survive for very long. So don't get me wrong, when you're starting a business, it is all about, rolling up the sleeves and getting things done, sometimes doing all the things, and sometimes by any means necessary. That do it all, that handle everything to begin with can be a great way to get your business off the ground. But that approach that got your business off the ground usually is not the best approach to growing or scaling your business. Because, of course, as your workload, as your team, as the complexity of your projects grow, that approach leads to some really serious inefficiencies that can end up harming a business. So we're going to talk about ways to make sure that that doesn't happen with anybody here. And again, now that we've got things going, as you're coming in on the live, if you want to let us know that you're here, that would be great. Please join in on the conversation. So a few questions to make sure that you're in the right place. If you found methods that could help you control your overwhelm, perhaps some chaos, dare I say scatteredness, so you could focus on what's most important in your business, would that be of value to you? And if I could show you solutions, you can just answer to yourself, if I could show you solutions for getting your business more streamlined through well-structured processes and systems, would you be interested in that? And what if it was easier than you thought, right? So if you want to hear more about this, you are in the right place. For anyone who is watching perhaps on the replay or on the Facebook group that doesn't know me as well, I know the people here in front of me do. It's such an honor to have you here and a pleasure to know you all so well. But for anyone who may be watching the recording, if you don't, my name is Connie Whitesell. I am a business strategist and coach. I am the owner of Scattered to Streamline Business Coaching. And I've at this point owned 2 successful small or micro businesses over the last 20 years. I had a 14-year HR consulting business, and I've been doing business coaching for 11 years now. There's been a little overlap in there, but all of my work as a business coach has been focused on streamlining businesses and their owners. And of course, what does that often involve? Systems, structures, processes. Not that sexy of a topic, but it sure makes a whopping difference to a business's flow and success, because income coming in is certainly sexy. So we've got one other person joining us here. Let's get Larry in here. Welcome, Larry. Hey, Larry, good to have you on here. Thanks for joining us.
It took me a minute to find it again.
Well, I'm glad that you did. Welcome, welcome. So Larry does amazing website design. He's just been a huge gift to many of us here in the area and beyond. So, okay, so here's where the new technology for me comes in. So bear with me here. I'm going to start using Zoom's whiteboard feature. So we can start taking some notes and help you each out individually. Move this over so I can still see you all. All right, so my first question for you, and if you're seeing this on the live as well, I'm asking you as well, who here, just by a show of hands or say yes in the chat on Facebook, who here uses some kind of system or process in their business right now? Okay, and Linda and Larry, if you just want to use if you're not coming in on video, if you want to use the what is it? We have the reactions feature on Zoom. Please feel free to go ahead. But of course, all of us who are in business, we have some kind of system or process that we're already using in our work, right? Whether that be, something like scheduling your work time or even as simple as keeping a to-do list. So I'm going to ask the group now, what are some of the systems and processes that you currently use? So if you're here on Zoom, just go ahead and raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute. Or if you're on Facebook, if you just want to write it in the chat, what are some systems and processes that you use now? NJ.
Sorry, it took me a little time to unmute. I start my day with a list of things, of all the things I need to do for the day, even if it's not necessarily business. And then I kind of categorize them as far as either 1, 2, 3 or whatever. And I look over what I need to, what I really need to get done first. And then what things could wait, like what things I could do even tomorrow or whatever. So there's the to-do list for me. And I seem to get a lot of things done off that to-do list because I'm a person who likes to either check mark things or cross things out. Makes me feel very accomplished. And by the end of the day, if there's stuff that can wait till tomorrow, I've worked my whole day and it's just going to have to wait till tomorrow, but it wasn't as important as it was to do today. So I like my to-do list and it makes me feel accomplished at the end of the day. And I don't feel like I didn't get anything done because I have proof that I did the work.
Oh, I love that. And I think most of us here probably are fans of that as well. Being here on a systems and processes workshop, we love our processes and the checklist. Those are great. And then Renee, were you just going to raise your hand? Is there one in particular that stood out for you?
Yes, a couple platforms I love. The to-do list, I use Artful Agenda. So it's like a virtual agenda I keep track of.
Ooh, what is it called? Artful Agenda?
Yep.
Okay.
I love it. Looks like a paper layout, but it's digital. It's on your computer or phone, tablet. And then the second platform I use is Trello. And that's like an organizational platform I keep track of.
Would you call that like a CRM or project management? How do you, I know it can be used for so many things, but how do you use it?
I use it to organize my client projects.
Perfect. All right. Who else? Oh, here, Nadine just shared something. Nadine, perfect. Daily, weekly, and seasonal to-do lists. Also for certain projects, she has flow charts to keep track of the progress of the work. Okay, so, right, project management. So Nadine's an awesome photographer, so I can see how you would absolutely use those kinds of tools. What else comes to mind?
Connie, we were talking about this yesterday, but I have been using notebooks for writing lists. And so this week I've started to use the Keep Notes on Google, which is working pretty well because I can cross things off and then they just move, my list moves up to the next thing that I need to do. So I'm kind of liking that. I'm not sure whether I'll go back to paper or not. I'm kind of using both at the same time. So I have paper in that for taking notes, but I'm looking for ways to go digital more than paper if I can, but I don't want to have another thing to do or to go look at. So I want to make sure that it flows well. So I'm trying things out.
Awesome. Okay. And we're going to talk about some of that transition in this process as we talk about steps for establishing a system. And in your situation, it would be steps for tweaking the system that you're or transitioning right now as you're doing. Right.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because sometimes the digital really does work effectively. And sometimes, like for some things, I find myself, I just have to go back to handwriting in some areas because that for me is more effective. It's different for different people. Anything else come to mind? Anything different than what we have up here right now?
Honey,
I
I
use a
use, oh, go ahead.
Contact management called Intellect.
And what
it's
is that for? You said project management?
Well, no, it's a contact management.
Ah, great.
But it gives you a calendar, tasks, contacts, your email. You can basically outline and follow projects on it. So it's a pretty complete thing. I started using it probably, oh God, 15, 20 years ago.
What is it called, Larry?
It's called Intellect. It's a software by a company called Chaos Software.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, another great example. And then NJ, you had something else that you were going to mention?
Yeah, the thing that really helps me is I keep a really detailed calendar. I have a great calendar that I've never seen anywhere else that I got at Office Max, and I've had to order it for the second year because it wasn't there, but it is so available to write everything in for your appointments and what you need to do, who you need to call. And I also put it in my phone. So it's on my paper, calendar. But the nice part for me is when I put it in my phone, I can share it with my husband. And so he knows what I'm doing all the time. So, he always knows when my appointments are and everything like that. So I really I live by my calendar for so many things, besides the to-do list. And just knowing that, my husband knows my schedule. We don't question, where are you, what are you doing and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, I know you're doing this or whatever. So especially if I'm having meetings or anything like that. So I would say the calendar is my best friend besides my to-do list.
Yeah, calendar is another terrific tool, and something like even digitally being able to share a Google Calendar, something like that. But these are all fantastic examples of where systems and processes can help us work more efficiently. So this leads to my next question of, well, let me just ask for a show of hands. Who here feels like they need systems and processes in either other areas or need to improve where they're at with these areas? Anybody? Okay, some here are just here for the listening, so that's good too. So where are some other areas? And it may be some of what we've already listed here, but where are some areas where you feel like you could really use some either new or improved systems? Just go ahead and raise your hand if something comes to mind.
I think
Yeah,
for
Karen.
me, I'm always looking for a better system. So I don't know if my system is getting outdated. So I like to be aware of what other people are using just to see if it might be a better fit for me.
Is there a particular area that's coming to mind where you feel like you could, like right now, you want to improve a system?
Well, for like the networking piece, when I'm meeting with all these different people, keeping them all in a place where I can easily access them and know what they do and their specialty. And so I've created a spreadsheet and I've broken them down into different areas of business and then created that list under there. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but that's the way that it works for me right now. And they're all right in front of me.
Yep. Yeah, it's so interesting. I've been in a number of discussions where people have talked about these kinds of systems, about tracking the potential clients, potential referral partners, tracking what happens during these conversations, as well as clients as they move along the process. And I find it so interesting that what works for one person doesn't work for another. You really need to find what works for you. And I've tried a few different online systems, and I found myself, even when I got to know them really well, in some ways coming back to something as simple as a spreadsheet, Google Sheets, something like that, and then inserting things into my task. And sometimes, that works great for me. Other people are making phenomenal use of Salesforce and Monday and all of these different electronic systems. So I never want people to feel bad. If they find a system that works for them, stick with it. Don't just go for the latest thing. If it's working, maybe make some tweaks to make it better. But thanks for sharing that, Karen. And we'll talk about some other ones as well. But it may be that you've already found the perfect system for yourself.
Well, it used to be Rolodex, but I'm not going to age myself.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Karen. You know that.
Karen, I absolutely love that idea because I write all my one-on-ones and potential clients and everything on a pad of paper, and it's just get puts in folders. And I mean, I know what they do, but then the next time I talk to them, I can't remember. And that would be great if I did my one-on-one and then put in descriptions and when I spoke with them. And oh, that's great. And I love Excel. So I think I'm going to start doing that. That is a really great idea. I've never thought of that. So thank you for sharing that, because that will really help me.
Sure, no trouble.
And when you do that, it's tailored to just what you need. You
Yeah.
put in the fields that you feel are most important. Sometimes what's thrown me is just there's so much information that these CRMs have out there to fill in, and 3/4 of it I don't care about. It just becomes more of a distraction. For other people, they really need to keep that robust information. So what else? What other areas do you feel like you could use some systems or processes or improve what you have? Renee.
I guess for me, with my work, I have a lot of very different clients, and I do have systems in place, but I would love to improve them. So having very different projects going on and keeping track of where you are and prioritizing daily tasks.
Okay. All right. So another great example. Anything else that's coming to mind for anyone here? Okay, we're going to shift over then, and let's see if I can find this here. Let me share some slides for you so you can, it'll make it easy to take notes or just take a picture of some of these steps that are involved. All right, can you all see this? All right, so let's get this going here. You know who I am at this point. All right, so just starting out basically, what is a business process? And I think this applies for systems as well. It's a sequence of structured inputs or operations that produce a specific output or result. So we've talked a lot just now already about client management, project management, where you have a series of steps where you can put them into a system, you can put them on a spreadsheet so that you know where everyone is at any one point, with the result being you serve your clients better. Things don't fall through the cracks. You stay in touch when you need to stay, when it makes sense for them to receive contact, as opposed to forgetting about someone. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, is the business process and why it's so important to your business. So 3 main areas here. Business processes, they eliminate workplace inefficiencies. So in that way, they help take your business to the next level. So in regard to this, developing processes helps you identify and eliminate inefficiencies in the workplace. They also replace systems that are no longer serving your business. So as you're growing and you're finding what worked before doesn't work so well now, or if you plan on growing, you know you need something in place that's better what you have now, you'll figure out how to replace those. And finally, putting a structure in place that allows your business to grow and scale. That's involved with this as well. So second reason, oh, we're not working now, huh? Okay, saving time and energy. Now this is for you, it's for your business. If you have a team, if you have other people involved in your work, it saves time and energy for everyone involved. It helps ensure that your business operates like a well-oiled machine. And so when a task or an issue arrives, it's very clear who should be handling it and how it should be handled. So it's going to save you and your team and your business plenty of time, energy, and frustration. It's also easier to train others when you have systems and processes in place. So when you're ready to transition some of your work, or when you have an employee or say a virtual assistant, if they leave, having documented processes in place ensures a smooth transition. It makes it easier for a new person to step right in and immediately take over those responsibilities. So there are all kinds of reasons why these processes are important to your business, but I felt like these three really encompass the main benefits to having them in place. All right, so we're going to go through some steps for creating and or tweaking business processes and systems. We're going to start with, if my computer would cooperate with me today, first of all, just identifying where processes and systems are needed. Several of you already did that by just naming those items that either you wanted to put in place or you wanted to tweak, but that's the start of it. What areas of your business could benefit from a process? So generally, this is any repeatable task or project, something that you find yourself or a team member doing over and over again. Generally, those can be improved by having a clear process. So things like if you find yourself responding to emails over and over again in a similar way, having a system where you can just cut and paste and put these right in, save yourself time that way. It could be as simple as that. It could be maybe when people have inquiries about your business, having a simple way of responding to those that's already set in place to save you time. But identifying those processes is the first step. Next, you want to identify the key people who are involved. So in order to have an effective process, you need to understand who is going to be involved in, who's going to be using this process. And that means identifying those people who will ultimately be involved, be responsible, who will be managing the process. Now, as solo business owners or sales professionals, for some of us, it might just be you, but it might involve other people in your organization. It might involve people from outside of the organization. Renee's here. Renee is a virtual assistant. So she helps business owners with all kinds of tasks that perhaps are not within their genius zone, or something that takes something off their plate so they can focus on more income generating work. So you want to identify who are those key people involved in those processes that you've identified. All right, you also want to, and this doesn't have to take long, it could just be a couple of notes just to find where you are and where you want to go. So when you develop a process, it's important to look at how the task or the project is currently being managed and figure out what's working and what's not working, and how you can bridge that gap so you can improve and develop a process that gets you from where you are to where you want to go. All right, next, we want to research and invest in the right tools. Processes are all about driving efficiency, right? And part of the way they drive that efficiency is through automation. Not for all of them, but for several of, especially a lot of the systems we just talked about, technology or automation was involved with each one of those. So we need to figure out what are the right tools for us, because there certainly are a whole lot of technological tools out there that we could use. We also want to document the process. So in order for a small business process to drive efficiency and productivity within your business, it needs to be repeatable. And in order to ensure that that process is repeatable, it needs to be documented. And that's the whole process from beginning to end. That way, when you need to get someone up to speed on your systems, like a new team member, they'll instantly understand how the process works, what's involved, what their role is. It also helps us, if we're the only person implementing that system, it helps us remember all of those key steps. I mean, some of the simplest things, I think about like the work some of the work I do in Grow when we're setting up a workshop and onboarding a new speaker. There are so many steps involved, from that first conversation with the speaker to scheduling them, to creating the post that goes up, to make people aware that we have the process, to setting up Zoom, to running the meeting, to doing the follow-up with the video. From the outside, it seems so simple, but there are so many processes, and it's easy to forget one or two of those along the way. So for any system or process, you definitely want to be documenting as well. Then you want to roll it out, right? You're ready to, once you've got your new process documented, it's time to implement it and roll it out either on your own or with your team. And depending upon the complexity of the process, you may need to spend some time in training yourself, your team, to get everyone up to speed on how this is going to work. Then, of course, we don't stop there. We also want to look at things, evaluate, and refine, because anytime we're implementing a new process or system, it takes some time to make sure it works for us and for our business specifically. So generally, I suggest for just overall, for a general process or system, give it 30 days. Then take a look at it, see how it's working, and see how you can tweak it to make it work better. In almost all cases, there are ways of making things work better. They're not perfect to start out, but then just keep refining. And if whatever you're using is not working for you, of course, and it looks like it just won't, with even if you spent a lot more time in learning, all right, then let's start back at the beginning and let's try something different. Or go back, if you know it's a tool, go back to step 4. Maybe it's a different tool that needs to be looked at. Maybe it's step 2, where the people need to be different, but always be refining things. This is just like, for those of you who have been in my planning programs before as well, it's just like your strategic plans for your business, right? You go through this process, you create the plan, but then challenges come up, opportunities come up. You always have to go back and do some tweaking to really make it work well for you. So those are some things to keep in mind. So is this making sense to everybody? Anybody have any questions? Thumbs up like that. All right. Got some people watching on Facebook. If you're watching live on Facebook, please as well jump in, let us know you're here. If you have any questions or comments, I'm keeping an eye on that as well. So feel free to post any thoughts that you have in that. All right, so now we talked about some areas, but I'd love for you to consider some other areas as well. We talked a lot about project management, client management, task management, and some of these are going to be on this list, but I'd also love for you to give some consideration to some of these other areas to see if these other areas might help you improve your business and your own business processes. So I started out with some of the key ones, some of which we have already mentioned: marketing and sales. Right. So the more organized, the more process driven you are in your marketing efforts, the more effectively you'll be able to get the word out and get your company in front of your target audience. And the more easily you'll be able to convert those prospects into customers. So just an example that comes to mind for me in this is social media marketing, right? And Renee, I know you help some people with this, and this is a big area because for a lot of people, especially as solo business owners, solopreneurs, we just tend to do this on the fly. Right? Posting as the urge arises or when we see something good that we'd like to share, and so, but what comes from that when people do things that way ultimately is inconsistency, because it's impossible to keep up with this on a consistent basis when you have so many other things that you're handling on your own. A system or process for this is almost always helpful, or having a person to help with this process and having them implement the system is always a good idea. Otherwise, as I mentioned, the inconsistency, the lack of flow, the lack of theme to the posts, you kind of end up seeming like you're all over the place without some kind of a system. So I wanted to just walk through an example here of implementing those steps when you think about social media marketing, right? So first, it's identifying where the system is needed. We're just identifying here for our example, social media marketing. Key persons, it may be you as the business owner, or it may involve an employee. It may involve a virtual assistant like Renee, or a digital marketing company. Those could be your key persons. Number 3, where you are currently, haphazard posting, inconsistency. Where you want to be is streamlined, ahead of schedule on content, having it off your plate for most of the time. Step 4, researching the right tools. So there are all kinds of tools we could use here depending upon your needs. It could involve graphic design. It may be using Canva or some other similar tool. It could be pre-scheduling software like Buffer or Thrive or Hootsuite, or there's just a slew of them out there, but you want to research what are those right tools in the particular area. Step 5, document the process, right? So, and going into as much detail as possible. So it may be just real quickly, like thinking about the upcoming month, what you want your theme to be for the upcoming month or the upcoming week. Within each week, maybe there's a schedule to it as well. We often see people who have hashtag Motivation Monday or Throwback Thursday, or maybe they're doing videos on Wednesday, whatever that looks like for you. And Renee, would you say that this is something that in your work that you're helping people do, is figure out what that schedule is and those themes?
Yes, that social media marketing is a big part of why people need my services.
And you probably have your own system when you work with a client, right? For how that whole process works. So here's another thing. When you're developing that system, one way to handle it is to give it to an expert where they have their own system together and they just tell you what to do or ask for your feedback on things. And it can just streamline things quite a bit. So step 6 in that process would be rolling it out. So giving it a try. And maybe for this, it may take more than 30 days. Maybe it's 90 days where you're working with somebody or trying your own system and seeing what works. And then, of course, evaluating and adjusting. So you can see how that process works within a particular area. Sales as well. Once leads or referrals come in, do you have a clear system for making sure that you get back to people quickly, that you have a process that's involved? For me as a coach, when I get something like that in, it's all about scheduling a discovery call, having a system for what the format of that call is, how to overcome objectives or objections, excuse me. All of those types of systems help increase conversions and drive more revenue for your business. So that's one key area. Another one is Big one, accounting and invoicing. The last area where you want to wing it in your business is, without a doubt, your finances, right? So now this is one area that was not brought up in the earlier discussion, but I bet now that you're thinking about it, you do have some kind of system in place. Or if you don't, it's time to get a system in place or people to help with this process. It's just it's imperative for your accounting and invoicing to be organized and on time. And having those kinds of systems in place will ensure that you manage financial tasks like creating invoices, collecting payment, categorizing expenses. So many ways this could take effect financially, but making sure that that's efficient, consistent, and in the appropriate time window. Another area, boy, my computer does not want to work right today. Project management. So we talked about this at length, at how helpful systems can be for this. But here are some other areas that we didn't discuss that I'd love for you to consider in your business. What about new product research and development? Do you need a system or process for keeping on top of that? Quality control. Product and services delivery. Whether you have products or services, is the delivery handled in an efficient and comprehensive way? For people who have products in their business, inventory management. Steve, thank you for joining. You mentioned have a daily pipeline review first thing each day. Find it the only way to keep on top of every changing day. Absolutely. That reminds me too of, and this is kind of close to what NJ was saying earlier too, you have that pipeline review, but you also want to make sure that you highlight what are the top priorities. So if you get nothing else done but those top priorities, you've eaten that frog, you've taken care of the most important thing in your business. So thank you, Steve, for sharing that. Kathy, oh, so good. Glad that you're here too. Great information. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're finding it of value. Yeah, there are just so many. Let's just getting back to this area of where we could use support. Let's talk about just a few other ones here, or try to. Customer service, perhaps a process or system could help in this area. Client satisfaction. This could involve having a process perhaps of surveying clients or customers after they've experienced your services, what you have to offer, and seeing how they're doing, seeing if things could be improved for their own experience and for others in the future. If you have employees, and not just for employees, if you're looking at hiring contractors as well, there's a process that you want to follow so that it's fair to everyone involved and so that you get all of the needs that you have in your business met. So that could involve recruiting, interviewing, hiring. And then once you have someone on board, whether it be an employee or a contractor, that development and training. So a system in place that makes sure you cover everything that's so important to your business, and making sure that it's reflected well, that your business is always reflected in the best way possible. Another area is, come on up, electronic data storage. We had someone speaking on the Grow Group about cybersecurity recently, and the importance of both storing your data and protecting it. So often it's very helpful to have systems in place for this as well. And this could be as simple as having a password manager to something a lot more complicated. So just wanted to suggest that you take a look at this list and see if any other areas come to your mind where you feel that a system or process could be helpful. All right, let's see how we're doing on time here. All right, we're doing great. Thanks again for those who are coming in to check out the live and watch the recording. So good to have you all here. Before I do wrap things up with the group, I did want to extend an invitation for you. So if you've enjoyed the discussion or benefited from it, this is just one small area that we cover during my quarterly and annual planning sessions. Most of this would fall under the operations category in terms of developing those systems. could also fall under marketing and sales, finances, but we do an in-depth, a deep dive into a number of these areas and how to make things more efficient. So overall, in these programs, when we meet for the upcoming quarter, so at the end of this month, we're meeting for quarter 2, what we do is we develop a next quarter very specific plan. So you know on what you need to work on to reach your goals and vision faster. I always talk about this stat. I think it's so impactful. Businesses that create a plan for their work achieve their goals on average 30% faster than those without a plan. There are verified studies that show that. I actually think that based on my work with my one-to-one clients and group clients, I think that statistic is even higher. I think it's closer to 50%. So that means right now, if you're setting a goal for the end of the year, you're going to achieve it by October. It's that much faster, or July if it's 50% faster. So that's what we focus on in this program, is creating the plan, looking at fine-tuning the vision for your business, looking at your most important goals for the quarter, breaking down the achievement of those goals into the smallest step, and doing a full analysis of your business so you can walk away with a plan. So I just wanted to share about that, give you a little bit of information. We also meet in a small group atmosphere. It's no more than 10 people, so you get all kinds of great ideas from other people as well. So here are some details about the upcoming program. I know we have some people already who are signed up for this that are on the call, but we'll be meeting March 26th, which is a Saturday, from 10 to 1:30, and then on Tuesday, March 29th, from 9 to 12:30 p.m. to do that deep dive and help everyone create a plan so that next quarter is as profitable and productive as it possibly can. So I'm running an early bird pricing right now of $249 that will be here for a couple of weeks. To those who are on this call or are watching this live or even watching the replay, if you mention that you were on here, I will also give you a 30-minute strategy session, one-to-one with me, to do an even deeper dive into your plan after the session. So just encouraging you again. So if you do sign up this week, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that, this week, and mention that this is from the Masterclass, just send me a message that that's the case. I will add on that 30-minute session. All right, so wrapping things up now, let me bring this group back here. Let's get rid of the
Connie, can I just give a shout out while you're doing that?
Yeah, of course.
So I have been in Connie's sessions. I think I've done a year and more or so. And on my wall, I have my list right with me. So I know on a quarterly basis and on a daily basis, the things that I want to touch on. So I went from having a whole bunch of ideas in my head to having a plan in place every month, every quarter of the year. And it just really took all the things that I think about and wake up in the middle of the night and say, oh, I should do that, or oh, I should do this, and get it down on paper. And it really streamlined what I was thinking, and it gave me focus. And when she talks about how far you go forward having something like that, it really did, because it just made it more clear in my mind where I wanted to go. And then every quarter you think about what you wish to get done, and then you add to that, and then you streamline that, and you're just keep the fat away and just focus in on what's most important for your business. So I can't say enough about doing that. That was the best thing that I've ever done for my business. So,
and this was not planned in advance.
no, it wasn't, but I really strongly believe it. I mean,
Karen,
I really do.
thank you. I so
really do.
appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, we have some people in the group who have been coming every single event. And it's terrific because every single quarter you see what they're getting accomplished, what the improvements that they're making. That's what I'm basing that statistic on, is what I'm hearing from people in the group, how they're achieving their goals faster. So I really appreciate you sharing that, Karen. Thank you.
Karen, I would definitely, I've only been to one class, but my mind is so scatterbrained because I just think so much about everything, how I can make my business better and things like that. And this Streamline gives me a plan where I'm not so scatterbrained because I can write all the things I want down and then plan them accordingly for what they need to be done. And my business has been outstanding since January. It's the best it's ever been. And I mean, I don't know what's going on with it all. I'm just grateful for it. But there's just definitely things like, making a priority to network. I think that has been one of the things that I was lacking, and that now, with networking, the referrals that I need, I'm getting, and which is making business better. So I always wanted in my head going, oh, I need to network, but I didn't have the groups and stuff like that. And now I'm finding that out. So it's wonderful to have something that I'm structured with that says, you need to do this, you need to do one-on-ones, you need to go to these events to meet people. And it's really helped me. And I'm very grateful for the class. I can't wait to attend the second quarter because I have so much to report on. So.
Thank you for sharing that too. And you brought up another point. So that's because I know a lot of people helped when you were talking about that issue. Other people in the group really provided some great ideas. And I also saw you share in a post about some of your progress. And I was loving it because I knew you were right on track on that overall goal that you had shared for the entire year. So really happy for you. All right, well, let's get back to the masterclass here, Karen and Angie. I so appreciate you speaking up and sharing your experiences. But let's get back just to wrap things up. So I'd love to ask you, after all of the different systems, processes that we've talked about, now, where do you think you could most use a process or system to improve your business operations? Did anyone here on the Zoom, did any of you come up with a different system or process that you hadn't thought of before? Renee, yes.
I did. Well, I had been considering, you mentioned client satisfaction, and like, I called it an exiting survey, but after someone has finished with your service, that survey, I think that's a great idea.
Awesome. Yeah. So whether it is something new like that or something that you were thinking from the very beginning, you've already just covered the first step in that process. And hopefully you've thought through some of those other steps, like who are the key people? What are some tools that might be helpful for you? So you can continue on that process. And I really encourage you, just pick one system or process. It's March 1st right now. One thing that you can work on this month. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed with a whole list of systems that you want to implement, but think about it. If you could just do one a month for the rest of the year, you've got 10 new processes by the end of the year that can make your business that much better, or even one a quarter. You'll be in such a better place at the end of the year with your business and with your results. So really encourage you to do that. And if you would come back to the Streamlined Business Strategies group and report in, let us know how things went. What systems you did implement and how they helped your business. All right, so before we close things up, I just want to ask, does anyone have any questions on the process, on the systems, looking for suggestions in any of those areas? Just go ahead and raise your hand. Or if you're on the live, just go ahead and post in the comments.
Connie,
Yes, Linda.
you mentioned data security, and I am the identity theft lady, as you know, and backed by a $16 billion company. So this is coming from people that are huge and they know what's going on. We do have the cloud, but my CEO said 2 weeks ago to back it up on your own. Now, I don't know if that's because what's going on with Russia, but everybody here listening, please do that. Back it up on your own, because we all fall with the marketing, do this, do that. Cloud is not the best thing. You are. Protect your business. Back it up on your own.
Thank you. And Linda, I'm so sorry. I should have recognized that when I was commenting on that. Linda provides amazing services when it comes to protection. So thank you for bringing that up, and especially that timely comment for us now. I've been thinking about that myself because all of my materials are saved onto either Dropbox or Google. And I was thinking, you know, I need to get a hard drive to back these things up. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
You're
And
welcome.
and really, as I'm looking at the group who's here, every one of you helps organizations with their systems and processes in different ways, right? Like I've talked about Renee, Linda, that absolutely valuable service that you provide that can take that off the plate of an organization. Larry, the whole website design. I mean, I always feel like a website is a visual business plan, because you have to think through all aspects of your business to create that. So you have your own system that helps support businesses creating that website, right? Oh, you're muted, but
I was just saying it needs work, but that's one of the things that came out of this is I need to better structure my onboarding of new customers.
awesome. Fantastic. And Karen, when I know you work in a variety of different ways, but your career coaching is such an amazing process that you provide to your clients for finding just the right job or career. And NJ, with the supplemental benefits that you provide to companies so that they can be more attractive to businesses. And you take the responsibility for each of those different benefits and all into one under one organization. I mean, everyone here provides such a valuable service to businesses when it comes to systems and processes. So I really appreciate you being here on the call. All right.
Appreciate you, Connie.
I'm sorry, Linda.
We appreciate you, Connie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I think I'm going to see you later tonight at the basketball game, aren't I?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. I'll be in touch to let you know how. So, all right. Got off on a sidetrack there, but thanks everyone. Have a great job, great time developing your systems and processes. And again, like I said, please feel free to share about how those have helped you, and have a terrific rest of your week.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Connie.
You too, Connie.
My pleasure. Thank you.